Hi, I'm Teray Foster, and this is 3D HealthNet. And this rack behind me is what I call my Whole Foods kitchen. It's full to the brim of dried foods that store for long periods of time. Nuts, beans, grains, seeds, vegetables, fruits. I wanted to show you this discovery I found of how to cook beans. I'm using just a simple canning plan. I'm not canning the beans, but I'm just using the quart jar idea as a way to cook the beans. And so I'm able, with this idea, to cook 6 different beans, because that's how many I want to cook each week. I can cook them all at the same time with the same pot, with the same amount of fuel as I would have used to make just 1 pot of beans. Just a regular canning pot that most people have already if they're interested in home storage. So if you don't have one, just go to Walmart and get one. It's under 20 bucks and it comes with the rack that holds the bottles. Then you'll need at least a dozen bottles, maybe more. So I go ahead and I put 1 cup of each bean into each jar. I'm running out of white beans long before the other beans because I use white beans to replace oil in my baking recipes. I'm realizing now that I shouldn't use this container to get the white beans for those recipes. I need a separate white bean container to do that. That way they would all run out at the same time, you refill them all at the same time, and the refilling becomes a chore that happens all simultaneously. Now we have 1 more container in the middle. 6 beans, and there's 7 jars. So I go ahead and use it for my brown rice. I use brown rice for rice and beans for Monday Mexican, and for Thai Thursday we use rice with our Asian meal. I'm going to fill up each one with water up to the rim, and then let them soak for 24 hours. That brings them to life. We're going to let this soak 24 hours, let the beans come to life, and then we're going to pour this water out. We don't drink the water, but we use the water by pouring it into the pot, and that will be the water we use to boil the beans. Once you pour out the water, then you fill each bottle back up again to the rim, and you're just going to cook them all together at the same time. The lentils will be done first after about 45 minutes. The rice will be done next, and that will be after about an hour. The rest of the beans you have to taste and see if they're tender yet and if they have cooked fully. And they usually take about 2.5 hours. This is such an easy process because once you get the water filled up, put it on the stove, you don't have to stick around and stir it or anything. You can just walk away, go do some things, come back, see if things are done. I've even left the lentils and the rice in there the whole time the other beans are cooking. It doesn't ruin them or anything, they're just a little bit overcooked. So if you have some place to go, it's okay to just leave them on the stove and let them cook and be back to take them off the stove. One very exciting thing I did is somebody was challenging me and saying, well, if you have a fuel shortage, you will not want to waste your fuel 2.5 hours to cook beans. And that may be true. So what I was trying to figure out is what could we do to use the least amount of fuel possible. So I brought it to a boil, took about 5 minutes on high, bring it to a boil, and then you put the lid on, you wrap it in like a sleeping bag, put it in a bin with a lid, put the lid on, put more sleeping bags, and what you've created is an insulated oven. And we did this. So we got it boiling, wrapped it up, put it in a bin, wrapped it up with more sleeping bags, and it cooked it. Cooked the rice and lentils, no problem. And the ones that take the 2.5 hours, at 2.5 hours I came and they weren't quite done, so I put them back on the stove, got them hot again, wrapped them all back up again, came back, and they were completely cooked beautifully. Try this as an experiment. It's pretty interesting. So if you had 5 minutes of fuel, you can cook 7 pots of whole foods. Then I had somebody challenge me saying, well, you wouldn't want to use up your water. If water is in a shortage, you wouldn't want to use up all your water, so you should can all your beans the old way with the lid and with the seal and with the pressure canning, and have them all canned so that you store them cooked. And I don't agree with that. If you have uncooked beans are lightweight and they take up a small space, they swell to 3 times the size, and if you're carrying that water and that bean, that's not going to be a good situation as far as having to take it with you if you had to go. And if you're having to find space in your basement to find all, 52 weeks worth of one bean would be 52 quart jars of just one bean. It's too much to do. It's too much work, and it isn't necessary, and then you have to buy all those jars. That doesn't even make sense. But people are saying, well, if you don't have enough water to cook the beans, you're out of luck. And so that is very, very true. So we have to make sure we are storing water too. And I have 4 55-gallon barrels in my garage. 4 makes me feel okay. I don't know if it's enough, but for me it feels okay that for the period of time that we might be cut off from water, that we would have those 4 55-gallon drums. I've been told that you have to have 10 gallons per person per day of water. And so when you think of it like that, then you can start calculating, well, 4 55-gallon drums is about 200 gallons. How many days would that be? How many days of 10 gallons per person? And I guess that's to be able to cook beans, that's to be able to flush toilets, that's to be able to wash hands, wash your clothes. So that's water for everything, not just drinking. So these are some of the things that we need to figure out, but the drums or the 55-gallon barrels are very, very important to get along with your food storage.